Hello, and welcome to New Beginnings Start Today, the podcast for people who want to grow deeper in their faith in the Lord. I'm your host, Dr. Douglas Keffer, a minister, clinical pastoral counselor here in Roanoke, Virginia, and I have a passion for helping people to live their faith. Today, we're going to talk about betrayal is devastating and how you can learn to allow the Lord to help heal your heart from the effect of betrayal. Let's begin. When one has to deal with the act of betrayal, it can be devastating to that person emotionally, physically, and spiritually. I recently read a saying that has an enormous amount of truth. The saddest thing about betrayal is that it never comes from your enemies. This is so true in many instances. I'm thinking of a client I sat with whom this saying was very, very true for that person. She was very independent and had been divorced for several years with a couple of children. She met a man and they became close. He actually moved in with her and her children. She began to sense that there was something different about this man's behavior with her. She tried to talk to him about it, but it was to no avail. She started to look at his phone and found things on it that were absolutely inappropriate, and he denied everything that she found spoke of his betrayal of her trust in him and their relationship. The feelings of betrayal were very real, and she could not believe the lies that he told her about what he was doing with another woman. He could actually sit and keep a straight face and lie to her about his deceit. This betrayal was devastating to this woman and her children. The process of healing that she continues to go through is very hard, and she gleaned strength from her faith in the Lord. King David knew the pangs of being betrayed by his friend when he wrote, "Even my own familiar friend in whom I trusted, who I ate my bread, has lifted up his heel against me." Psalm 41 and verse 9. This friend of David's was someone he knew very well. He had this friend in his home and ate meals with him. That did not stop his friend from betraying David, and did so with great power, as described when he says, "has lifted up his heel against me." Then David gives us insight into his faith that God was going to make things right in the situation. Listen to his resolve. "But you, O Lord, be merciful to me and raise me up, that I may repay them. By this I know that you are well pleased with me, because my enemy does not triumph over me. As for me, you uphold me in your integrity, in my integrity, and set me before your face forever." Psalm 41, verses 10 through 12. David knew that the only way he was going to be able to move beyond what his friend had done to him was to trust the Lord to raise me up. We are also told that this friend was going to suffer consequences for his actions. This is always the case, and if we have the right attitude, the betrayer will never have the upper hand, because they will not triumph over our Christian integrity. There is so much betrayal going on with people that you trust as friends or even with family. This is never easy to deal with because you would have never believed that your friend or family would do such nasty things against you. Betrayal. King David addresses such betrayal when he wrote, "If an enemy were insulting me, I could endure it. If an enemy were insulting me, I could endure it. If a foe were raising up against me, I could hide. But it is you, a man like myself, my companion, my close friend, with whom I once enjoyed sweet fellowship at the house of God as we walked about among the worshipers." Psalms 55, verses 12 through 14. It is so obvious that in today's society, it is not uncommon to have people betray others' confidence because they just do not care what the effect is when they lie about a person to make themselves look better. There is also an enormous amount of avoidance because they do not want to take responsibility for their actions. We see this all the time on our newscast and in social media today. This is what makes it so hard to understand when people we trust betray us, crush our hearts, and destroy our trust in them. David says, "My companion, my close friend, with whom I enjoyed sweet fellowship, and at the house of God." This makes this detestable behavior very hard to swallow, and in reality, you should not have to. The families that have had to deal with betrayal staggers my thinking that I have had to counsel over the many years. I sat with a wife who came to me because she did not know what to do about the lies her husband kept telling her about his drinking. He got so bad that he moved out and did not want to deal with the issue because he loved his drinking more than his wife. I counseled them both, and even in session, the husband would avoid discussing what he would have to do to build his wife's trust back, that he would stay sober. The wife was so committed to helping him that when he was without work, which was a lot of the time, she paid a lot of his expenses because she felt obligated to do so. Sitting with her, I could tell that the heartache that she was going through was so deep, but in all of it, she kept believing that God was going to intervene and there would be a miracle take place in her husband's life. To date, I do not believe that that is the case. I also think of the husband who came to me about needing to deal with the betrayal of his wife. She could not control her sexual appetite and would be unfaithful to him time and time again. The remorse that she had for her action was only to appease my client, as she had no intentions of abstaining from the illicit sexual activity with a coworker. It was like a game to her to see if during any given week she could slip away and have sex with this coworker with whom she was involved. They had this beautiful little daughter who could not understand why Daddy was always upset with Mommy and was always arguing with each other. The trauma this caused made it necessary for the wife to move out of the house and stay with relatives. I am happy to say that through their counseling and their commitment to doing what was right, they were able to work things out and find their love for one another again as husband and wife with the Lord's help. It was wonderful to watch their faith grow in the Lord and trust His guidance for their lives. The effect of betrayal in your life can steal the joy from your heart and cause you to live in bitterness and strife. This is not what God wants for your life, even though you have suffered betrayal at the deepest level. The Apostle Paul gives us an admonition of how to deal with the effects of betrayal when he wrote, "See to it that no one falls short of the grace of God, and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many." Hebrews 12 and verse 15. Paul warns us against allowing a bitter root to grow up so that the bitterness does not defile us. I cannot tell you the number of people that I have counseled over the years who did not guard their lives against bitterness of being betrayed. I have heard, "I'm going to kill him," and "I want her to hurt as much as she has hurt me," and "I wish God would just take me right now because I cannot endure this any longer." These are all responses by good people who did not guard their hearts against what betrayal did to them. Paul warns us, see to it that no one falls short of the grace of God, which allows us to know that we must trust Him for the justice that is so needed in all these kinds of situations. The prophet Micah gives us great insight into how to guard our lives against the effect of what Satan does in the lives of so many people who take their eyes off of God and His help when he wrote, "Do not trust a neighbor, put no confidence in a friend. Even with the woman who lies in your embrace, guard the words of your lips. For a son dishonors his father. A daughter raises up against her mother, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies are members of his own household. But as for me, I watch in hope for the Lord. I wait for God, my Savior. My God will hear me." Micah 7, verses 5 through 7. It is easy to see that the Lord warns us to understand who is capable of betraying us are members of our own household. What a sobering thought, but one we must take seriously because of what we are facing today in the amount of betrayal that is happening. This is taking place today at a very high level, and it continues seemingly with no end. We have to come to terms with the fact that the family unit is being attacked and the evil around us seems to be winning. Just think of the people outside your family who are reeling from the effects of what they are facing in their families as well. How many families that you know about would you say that are really stable and living their faith? When Micah says that it is in the midst of all this chaos, there is one thing that he is confident about, and that is, "My God will hear me." Micah believed that even though there is that much dysfunction in the home and in the community, we have the privilege to take all those matters to God, and He is going to hear us. Our prayer lives are so important for us to believe that we have the privilege to go to the throne room of God itself and supplicate on behalf of our families and our friends. When we believe that God is listening to cries for understanding of how this could actually be happening, the more we will trust that He will help us through the effects of being betrayed. Thank you for listening to this episode. And I want to invite you to contact me and share how you are allowing God to help you with how you feel that you have been betrayed. Answer this question for me. What have you recently felt betrayed about, and how are you dealing with it? If you are seeing this on YouTube, please click subscribe button and the like button, and also click on the share button and share it with all your friends. That would be so helpful to me. You can also find the podcast on Spotify. Tell me about other issues you would like me to address by leaving your comments, and you can email me at drdouglaskeffer@gmail.com. Until next time, God bless each of you.